Awesome. All right. Hello, readers. Welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, where I have a very special guest joining me. It's actually a very much a dream come true having her here on the show today. And because she is not only crushing it with her work, but one who is really empowering readers with her taboo and forbidden romance books that are honestly just flying off the shelves. Fans of her work are going to be so excited to hear about her new romance book, The Good Girl Effect, which drops September 2nd. That is a spin-off of her super popular The Salacious Players Club series. So here to talk about the book and more is the one and only Sara Cate. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you so much. That intro was amazing.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here. I kind of feel like we are on like a brink of something super exciting with the start of this book and this new series. So I'm really glad that you're here to talk to us about it. But before we get into maybe the specifics of the Good Girl Effect, which I read, loved, again, it releases September 2nd. But I'm dying to know, like, what was it like sort of jumping back into this sex club world and the spin-off of the Salacious Players Club? Like, get us in your heads. What was this experience like for you?
It was really exciting. It was really, nice to go back and revisit. We get to see a little bit of some of the parents and some characters that we met in the original series. But at the same time, like this is a totally new club. It's a totally new series. It takes place in Paris, which is on another level exciting
Yeah.
because it's just something different. I love Paris. The vibes are just immaculate. So, it was exciting. And then at the same time, there was this level of like pressure, like, okay, by now the series has been out for a few years. People really love this series. Like, don't mess this up. So, it was exciting and a little unnerving at the same time.
Well, I don't think it's possible to, mess up anything because it's amazing, and I know what's to come is going to be amazing. But in that, I'm so excited that we get sort of glimpses of the OGs from the Salacious Players Club. But did you sort of know when you ended Salacious Players that this might be on the horizon, or was it just so many readers being like, please, 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 would you pretty please? Or
So by the time that I got to the end of Madam, I definitely knew. Um, I can't remember the moment during the writing of the series when I was like, I think I'm going to do a second gen because I know there was a moment sort of earlier on that it was a joke, that it was like, wouldn't that be funny? Oh, but I couldn't, you can never write a second generation with sex club owners. That's too weird. Like, who passes that down? Like, who passes a sex club down to their kids? It's not quite like a family business. And then I think I got to a point in Salacious where I was like, you know what? First of all, I don't abide by the rules of like, you know, we normalize things here. We normalize sex and sex clubs and desires and fantasies and all of that. And so in this universe, it's not as weird as it may be in other universes. So I think once I kind of accepted that, I'm pretty sure it was, definitely after writing Highest Bidder, because that's where we see the club for the first time. That's the club that Daisy and Ronan visit when they're in Paris. Um, I'm pretty sure by the time I got to the end of that book was the moment where I was like, I think we'll go back here. I think, I liked being here. I liked writing the steer, the things there. And so I would like to go back. And so definitely by the end of Madam, because I left a nice little, you know, to be
Mhm.
continued sort of epilogue where we see Jack in his adulthood going to Paris.
And please tell me that you made a research trip to Paris, whether it was for the highest bidder or for this series.
I've made two actually.
Oh,
So
nice. Even
yeah,
better.
I'm not gonna let this go without like milking it for every little trip I can get out of it. But yeah, I've been twice. I went last year. I mean, I had been before, but I went last year and I went alone. I had a friend there, but Got to just, I mean, I was taking pictures everywhere, I was videotaping. I was like, oh, this is where Jack would live. Like, this would be his apartment.
Oh, wow.
This is where the club would be. We visited a speakeasy that like is exactly what shows up. And I won't say who owns the speakeasy, but you'll find out when you read it who owns it. But it's exactly like what I saw in person. So it was really fun.
That's awesome. Okay, so Good Girl Effect, it's coming out. It's going to be book one. Can you just tell readers, give us a quick summary so people kind of know what's coming?
Yeah. So it takes place 25 years after Salacious Players Club. It does revolve around Jack, who was Madam's son. He is now a father. He's got a 5-year-old little girl. His wife has sadly passed away. So um, the the main female character's name is Camille. She finds a love letter in a book, an old bookstore, and goes to return it to the owners, and shows up on Jack's doorstep. And instead of returning the letter, she's mistaken for a job candidate for his new nanny and decides not to tell the truth and applies for the job and gets it. So she becomes Jack's nanny and discovers that he has some secrets, including a secret room, and
Yeah.
goes from there.
I loved it. So it sounds like maybe in Madam with that epilogue. So you knew Jack's story was going to be the first going
Yes.
forward. Yeah. So what was your favorite part about writing Jack's character and why is he going to be reader's next favorite book boyfriend?
Oh my gosh. He was difficult. He was really difficult. He was kind of a broody little butthead for a while.
How dare you?
He made things really difficult, but I love characters who make my job difficult. Because it just it becomes more interesting. I think readers are gonna really love watching him soften, because he starts off so like just closed off, very broody, not entirely likable at the start. And over the chapters, you see him start to like warm up and be a dad and like all those cute moments that will just melt our hearts.
Yeah, totally. I loved seeing that progression, especially with him and his relationship with his daughter and how Camille really played a role in that piece, which was sweet. Yeah. So Camille then, she's the heroine of the story. She was really cool too. She has so many different like parts to her that started to unfold as we went by. What did you love most about writing her?
She was so fun. I loved all of her little quirks. That some of I think the most fun part of my job is just adding in all these personality traits and building this person. And so like Camille, she's very curious, she's very stubborn. There was a moment I think between her and Jack where, he kind of expected her to submit, give me what I want. And she's very much like, no, no, you need to give me what I deserve first. And then, so she really stands up to him but is also very sweet and kind to him at the same time. And so they have just this relationship that I think is very complementary to each other. That
Yeah.
was fun to build.
Well, and they were both two characters who you're just like, oh, they both deserve this like happily ever after for sure. Especially
Yeah.
Camille, because I feel like, gosh, she seems so lonely. You know, I'm like, I want her to be, have this family and stuff. So that was really fun to kind of see her. And like you said, like not back down and to ask what she wanted and to finally get this family
Yeah.
was great. Oh gosh. Can we talk about the kink in the story, or is that kind of a spoiler?
Absolutely. No, no, go ahead.
Okay, so you picked bondage or specifically rope play, loved it. What made you go in this direction for Jack's story?
The thing about the original Salacious Players Club was like every book we discovered a new kink, and I was discovering them at sort of the same time. So it was like I was learning, we were learning. It was very fun. Each one had a different book, and I mean a different kink in each book. And so then when I got to this one, I'm like, well, I feel like we're all like a little bit at a master's level now. Like we kind of all take it up a notch. Like, so I'm like, let's revisit some things that we've already done and dive a little deeper into not only like the sexiness of them, because they are sexy, but also a little bit into the like psychology of why do I like this?
Yes.
You know, should I like this? I'm, never thought about this before, that sort of thing. And so the bondage was really fun because with bondage, there's always an element of like trust, control, surrender. And, for a character like Camille, who was a little stubborn, to like watch her learn how to, sort of let go and just be, trust Jack, but also just be in the moment and enter that space where she can kind of just um, settle in. And so that was fun. And I mean, I think in a lot of ways, really sexy to see them connect through that. And like with the
Absolutely.
ropes, I mean, it was hot. Like it
Oh
was,
my gosh, so hot. And I could tell, like reading it, I'm like, wow, Sarah probably really did some intense research because it's not like you gave a dissertation, but like you really shared, like you said, some, interesting pieces about it that I felt like, oh, cool, I'm really learning this about it. And so I really appreciated that about
Mhm.
this book. And I haven't yet, but I want to look up some pictures because just what you were describing, I'm like, that sounds so beautiful. And I think one character even described it as art, which it totally sounds
Yeah.
like. So that must have
Yeah.
been some fun research for you.
Was. I mean, there are so many, I mean, obviously there's tons of tutorials and things out there, but it really is like art. And I follow quite a few of them like on Instagram. And it's, it's sexy, but it's not inherently sexual. Like, I mean, these are on Instagram and you see these, there's one moment I think where Camille is like completely inverse and it's hard to really describe that. Like,
I bet.
and the ropes and where she's hanging and all of these things, but you know to see it's actually really beautiful, and so I found a new respect for bondage when writing this.
Yeah, and I think, well, you did a great job because I felt like I could envision it how you were describing it, and I was like, oh, wow. But even like you
Cool.
said, not just the physicalness of it, but the psychology of it and how she could just let go and be. And then the whole idea of even adding the blindfold to it, like even adding this next level of trust to it, um, and how both of them get sort of something different or the same out of it. I just really, I'm glad you picked this for that book because it was so compelling.
Thanks, I'm glad.
Do you think that maybe not new kink going for the rest of the series, or do you have those in mind, or you're just going to see what comes as you write the next books?
So there's, I mean, so full disclosure, I've written the first three.
Oh, wow, impressive.
I'm very ahead. But I will say there are things we will revisit and look at through like a new lens.
Hmm.
And there are things that we've never done before. There's a few things I said I would probably never do, and then I then I did. There was kinks that I didn't know about, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this was the thing. And so then I got really deep into learning. So yeah, it's not going to be, I would say, like as with the original series, it was like, dom sub praise kink, voyeurism, sharing and hot wife and that sort of thing. It's very cut and dry. Each book had a specific one. This one's a little more fluid and there's a lot of different exploring and things, and it might not be as prominently clear, but it's still, I mean, it's still in the same vein of, we're learning and exploring and it's fun.
Yes. Well, that must make your job even more exciting because not only are you like coming to know these new characters and now a new location, but now you're kind of exploring these new things. Like it just must be so fun to sit down at your computer every day and be like, oh, what's today gonna be like? Or at
Just,
least that's
yeah,
how I
just
envision
another
it.
day at the office. It's so tough. Yeah, it's a hard job.
It's a hard day today, looking at these
Yeah,
pictures and envisioning how I'm going to contort her.
yeah. It's fun. I mean, I love a challenge. I love that, like, you know, that characters start off really broken and, have to heal, and that they can do that in such like a new, interesting way, and it's usually through kink. And there's a challenge to that I think is just kind of fun.
And also, this book, we should probably say, is that there's like a nanny, employer relationship to it. And so Jack and Camille set up rules at the beginning, right? So they're not to help them, well, when they start to mix business with pleasure. But of course, rules are meant to be broken, especially in
Right.
spicy romance books. I think I really loved that too about this book in terms of, you try and set boundaries. What do you think? They have valid reasons, right? But yet, just it
Yeah.
wasn't going to happen.
I mean, obviously I love rules because it's the
Yeah.
chapter, but um, yeah, I mean, it's kind of makes my job easier where it's like, here's what we're not going to do, and then watch us do it. Like, it's just,
Right. Check, check.
it's very easy. But yeah, and also that element of the writing the letters was, a new fun thing that I had never really done before. Like texting is a new fun thing in romance. We love like a good back and forth text banter. So
Yes.
to do this then in the letters they pass each other was just, it was cute, it was fun. Something
Well, that was
different.
going to be one of my questions. Like, was there a favorite scene that you wrote or a favorite part about this book that just, looking back, you're like, oh yeah, that's what makes this book for me.
It's a favorite scene. I loved, yeah, I think there was one letter he wrote to her and he was very blunt in it. He was, like, FYI, if we do this, I'm gonna want to, you know, and you're gonna want me to too.
Right.
And I was, it's always fun to see them sort of break down like that. And so, yeah, I loved the letters. The letters were fun. One of my favorite parts for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Especially since they're living in the same house, right? You wouldn't think, but it was a really great element for sure. And I love since this is book one, we start to see some of the other characters. Julian definitely has me very intrigued given the tension he has with Jack. But I'm also really into Phoenix because I feel like she's got something a little hidden in her, and even Amelia, I think. So you don't have to say, but you already have two books written, it sounds like. So I'm assuming everyone's going to get their story.
Everyone will get their story. Yeah. The main six will all get their story. I believe there's six. Maybe there's more. I can't remember. But yeah, they will all, and it was, I went into this thinking that I knew what the order was going to be. And
Hmm.
then by the time I got to the end of the Good Girl Act, I was like, just kidding. I have to go into this one. And I'm not going to say who it is yet, but I was like, I have to. I
Nice.
can't help myself. And so, yeah, it's even now I'm like still sort of changing up the plan that I had. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine.
Absolutely. We'll take them all whenever you want to get them.
Yeah, it doesn't
Exactly.
matter what order
Like
they come in.
pre-order, pre-order. Yeah. Well, are you excited to go on book tour for this book? I'm sure it's like craziness, but it must be really exciting too.
Yeah, it's a good crazy. I'm very excited. I love book tour. I'm like I'm a go 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 person. I love the airport's my favorite place. So get to go to a lot of airports. No, I'm really excited. I'm excited to just talk about this book for like a whole week. I'm excited to get back into this world and be with the readers again, and that energy and excitement that they have
Yeah,
for this series is infectious. I'm really excited.
that's awesome. And when you do get to talk with readers, either on book tours or Instagram or however people get in touch with you, is there a particular character or book from Salacious Players Club that you feel like people talk about the most, that you hear over and over again? I'm sure
Um,
all of them, but still.
yeah. So when I announced this series, the question that I got the most, or the thing that I heard the most, was concern for Ronan's character. Because in Ronan's book, which was the fifth book, he was 56. And so now he's like 81, 82 throughout the first couple books. And people, it just like assumed, like, did he die? And I'm like, first of all, you guys know that people live past 81 now. Um, like
Right.
he's
He's
fine. He's a
fit,
little
man.
bit
He's
hot.
got, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he's old. I mean, he's old for sure. But he's still alive, he's still happily married. He's super rich. He's doing great.
No worry, people. Yeah.
So, and we do get to see him in this series a little more, I think and he does show up in book one, but we'll see him more in the rest. Um and so it was cute that everybody was so so worried for him. And I'm like, I mean, I get it. Like that would kind of be the perfect setup. Like he dies, who's he pass the club
Right.
down to? Like, nope, he just passes it when he's still alive.
Well, it's
Oh.
nice then you give people in this book a chance to see him and be like, no, honestly, he's fine. You know?
He's fine. Daisy's fine. Like they're still happily married, doing great. Yeah, that was the one. Um, Obviously, I mean, when I ask people what their favorite book in the Salacious Players Club series, the first answer is always Give Me More. I think that was a lot of people's favorites. Which I understand. I love that book, and I totally understand, coming from like that new discovery of MMF romance. It was very exciting.
Mhm.
And then of course everybody talks about praise still. So
Yeah. It's hard to pick a favorite. I would say for me, it was Give Me More, just because, I mean, from start to finish, I feel like how you develop those characters and then their relationships, and then, of course, the kink that was explored. I just was like, oh my gosh, this woman is amazing. This book is fantastic. I loved it.
oh,
But
thank,
it just made me feel like and I could understand what they were each struggling with or what was transpiring. Like, I loved it. Oh my gosh.
thank you. Yeah, it is the number one favorite for sure.
Well, I was also so excited to chat with you today because not only do I obviously love your books, but I love the why behind your writing. Why is it important to you to empower women to own their own sexuality?
Oh, that's good. That's a great question. So I mean, I think there's this universal experience, especially this day and age in this country as a woman, that we all kind of grew up with some level of purity culture in our lives. And so we kind of, some worse than others, were raised with this idea that, women's sexuality is embarrassing, shameful. We don't talk about it. It's not important. And then on that level, the things that we consume or create as women, art and media and the books that we consume and create is inherently less important, less, valued, um, not as intelligent, not as um, impactful. And I think that's entirely wrong. And it's infuriating. I think as I grew up on these like terms of, trashy romance novel or any other name that they've been
Yeah,
giving time, right? And I think I got to a point in my career was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is not only the best-selling genre in fiction,
right.
but it's read by half the population, and we treat it like it's somehow less important when in reality, um, it's helping women, it's giving us a safe space to explore our, desires, what turns us on, what makes us happy, which is inherently as important as it is for men. Um,
Mhm.
and you know, just that importance really fueled me, I think, and it was something that I didn't even realize I was doing until after I was publishing books and people said, this made me feel, like I felt seen, or it helped me discover this part of myself. It's like, I didn't even realize I was doing that when I was writing them. It was just what I wanted to express. And so, especially I think in the Salacious Players Club, because as I always tell my readers, that club, and I know y'all want to go out and you want to go find it and you want to go to a club in person. And I'm like, I promise you, this club is based in fantasy. It was written by a woman. That club was designed for women, and I mean, not just for women, but primarily. And it is where they feel safe. they feel empowered, they're not shamed for their desires or their kinks, or for feeling pleasure. And so, unfortunately, that does not entirely exist in our
Mhm.
world. But I think that by creating it, at least in fiction, we all kind of found a home there and felt, you know, like we weren't so weird or different or wrong for finding something that makes us feel good.
Right. Or judged or feel dirty or whatever the word is that,
Yeah,
yeah,
whatever words we learned growing up that like,
exactly.
having somehow devalues you or whatever it was.
Yeah, so thank you for that because I really do appreciate that, you continue to do that in all of your books and you don't shy away from saying, no, this is important and partly why I do this. So I'm grateful to you for that. Um, but what is it too about sort of taboo and the forbidden romance that you love so much from like a writer's perspective or from like a reader's perspective?
For me, it's always the conflict. Conflict is what drives a story. I mean, in any story. Um,
Mhm.
and so I just call it like juicy, juicy conflict when it's like an age gap or when they're step siblings or when, they're married to somebody else or, whatever it is, it's that inherent conflict, the thing that pulls them apart as strongly as the thing that's pulling them together. And that's, I think, where any story is really shine, what makes them so fun to read. Uh,
Mhm.
and, obviously starting praise with ex-boyfriend's dad, it's fun to dive into the character psyche at the same time of like, what does that feel like? You're like attracted to your ex-boyfriend's dad. What is going through your head right now? And like, how are you going to talk yourself into this or out of this? And it's really fun to kind of to do that, to get into their heads.
Is that part of your writing process then? Like finding like what's the inherent conflict of the book going to be and start there, or how am I going to push some boundaries, or do you not really think of it that way? It just sort of evolves from there.
I always start off with, yeah, what is the conflict? What is the thing pulling them apart? Because if there's nothing pulling them apart, you don't really have a story. I mean, or at least not a very exciting one. They always start with what is the thing stopping them from being together? Um,
Mhm.
and and then there's always has to be some glue that's sticking them together. So whether it be like forced proximity, they work together, she's his nanny. I mean, something like to that. And then that's just where it all, bubbles up from there. Um, I love working on character profiles, uh, knowing what their want is, but what their
Mhm.
need is, because they're never the same thing.
Mhm.
Working on their wound and their flaws, which are always inherently tied together. So whatever their wound will lead into their flaw. Um, and that's like you just get to like royally mess somebody up and then get to a good time to fix them. It's fun.
Well, it sounds like, gosh, you must be a really fast writer because I feel like you are constantly, it's like, oh, here's the next one. Awesome. Like, give it to me. Like, do they just like fly out of you or some more than others or
I think I am a fast writer and I know, it's a muscle, first of all. So it's, just what I do for a living and I just do it fast. And a lot of that comes from starting off as an indie author because, back 5 years ago, indie authors used to have to publish at a much faster pace than traditional authors do now.
Mhm.
So whereas now I put out like 2 books a year, back then I had to put out like at least 3 to 4
Wow.
to keep up because that was just how you got seen. That's how I mean, the time difference between Praise came out in um on March 17th, and Eyes on Me came out, I want to say at the end of April. Like they came out really, really fast. I think it was like 4 weeks and then 6 weeks between the next two and 8 weeks between the next, one. So yeah, like if you go back and look, and then Give Me More came out in June. They were
Wow.
really, really close together. Because that's just, I mean, I was an indie author at the time. That's just what we had to do. We had to keep people's interest. It was like you rapid release them. So that's why I'm still built that way as far as, writing. And I love the writing part way more than the editing and revisions part. So I tend to do that a bit faster.
What was it like getting that first contract after like being in it so much as an indie author? That must have been
It was
incredible.
very exciting.
Mhm.
And that was back, I mean, I say back when it was like 23. It wasn't that long ago. But it was like maybe it's no, it was 23. When Praise took off, I had no idea that it was gonna like take off the way that it did. I mean, obviously I put a lot of work into marketing and I just wanted it to do well. And then that series got just really popular. Um, and that was back when Book Talk was still kind of new. And um, there were no publishers picking up just print rights at that time. It was, and I don't think there was a lot of publishers picking up indies at all. And if they were, it was just starting.
Yes.
So it felt like a dream because, as an author, you don't ever really want to give up your rights. I didn't want to lose that series.
Mhm.
So had somebody come to me and said, "Oh, we'll buy the whole thing from you," I don't know that I would have been as excited about it. But because I had a publisher that was willing to work with me and they were just interested in the print. It was a huge deal for me because I still got to keep, a big part of that. I still own the rights to that series.
So that means you're the ebook, like,
Yes.
is
I
it?
ebook and audio, digital is mine.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and
amazing. Yeah, that's a really great because there's so many readers who now love the hard or
mhm.
the specialty covers and all that stuff, and you're in all these bookstores, but yet so many people love, ebooks, audiobooks that you have the best of both worlds kind of, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And I think just how much the industry has changed over the past few years, and that, authors used to sort of be this, you write the book, you turn it in, you go back to your cabin in the woods and write another one, but now, because of indie authors are, we're full business people now. And it changed the entire relationship between authors in the industry, authors and publishers. And it's really amazing.
Yeah, it is. So when it comes to audiobooks, like, do you like pick the narrators that you want and then you coach them, be like, oh, get ready for this chapter, or it's just sort of they do their thing and you're like,
I I definitely pick them. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the job is getting to do that. I definitely do not coach them though. Um, I do have a relationship with quite a few of them, and so we do get to chat like on the side, but the whole production um portion goes through a production company that I hire and work with. They do all the nitty-gritty stuff. I don't know any of the technical stuff. Like I just say I want Jason Clark and Meg Sylvan, go. Like you guys do your
good.
job. I don't know what else goes into it. So yeah, I would never I would never coach Jason. I'm like, you're doing great. I don't know what else to tell
They're probably at this point like, give me, what's the next one? Yeah, that's awesome.
you.
Oh man. Well, I'm curious then, because well, I'll ask you about your reading site, but you're a working mom, so I am too. Like, what's your superpower? How do you manage all of this? Because it's a lot to
It is
do.
a lot, for
So, yeah.
sure. I'm better at it now than I was before. I will say that. Like, the hustle of being an indie author is bananas. And when I first started, or when I was writing the Salacious Players Club, I was probably working, I mean, 80 hours a week. I was in my office all the time. And, you know, on one hand, it was great because it, afforded me the opportunity to like stay home with my kids or, be a little more available to them. We go on trips and things. But yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of hours. One of the best parts, I think, of getting picked up was that I could hand over a lot of those tasks. And now I'm like a 5 o'clock, I'm out of my office,
Perfect.
you know, um, try to just, I have a great team. That's a huge part, I think, of being, I mean, any business owner, but as an author is like, it's all in the team, all in the team that you hire because
Mm.
I mean, my Instagram girl is incredible and I don't ever have to worry. So, I mean, last night she popped out like the new Taylor Swift posts. I was like, it was like 2 hours ago. How'd you do that? So
I
it's,
know, amazing.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
because I mean, as a writer, I think you just want to write. You want to, and yet as an indie, probably particularly, you have to do like all the things, all the marketing, and that pulls you away. And that's tough. So I'm glad
it
you have a
is.
good team behind you now. Yay.
Yeah, it
That's
is. It is. I mean, maybe in a different world I could just write, but I'm the type of person where I'm like, I don't even know if I'd like that. Like I love being involved and hands-on and we send out PR boxes and I get to see them and help put them together and it's so fun. I don't want to give that up.
Yeah. Oh, that's great because there's all these different angles of the industry that you love. It's why it's your job or why it's the perfect fit for you. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
Well, in the midst of all of this, do you have time to read? Like, do you read romance? What type do you like to read?
I
Recommend for
reading,
other spicy taboo romances?
yes. I consider reading a really important part of this job because not only, do you have to create, but you have to feed the machine too, and so I try to always put time aside to consume in some way, shape, or form. So sometimes I'm not a big TV watcher, but sometimes that's we'll sit down, watch a movie and actually watch it, not scroll on our phones. Um, I go to the opera, I go see ballets, I go, all that stuff. And then I do also try to read at the same time. I don't always read romance though. I'm really on like a Kristen Hanna kick right now. I I just finished oh gosh, Lindsay Straub's book the Spit or Swallow series, which I know was the original name. So I tend to not always go for contemporary. If I do read romance, I'll do like a fantasy. Debbie Perry's new one I just finished not too long ago. It was so good. Um, and yeah, sometimes I just can't do the same thing that I write because it's too like the wires get crossed.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
I've heard that a lot where somebody, I just read historical because it's like very different, or I could never write that, or however. So,
yeah,
but that's fun that you can still sort of fit it in when you can, keep
I
those
try. Yeah.
flowing. Yeah. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, anything else you want us to know about the Good Girl Effect or the Legacy series that's coming out that we haven't chatted about?
Um, no, I mean, I'm obviously very excited. We've got a lot of, things happening for this release. We're obviously like very excited. So there's the tour, there's authorless release parties. I think there's a few of those going on. So make sure, check your area to see if there's something like release parties and such. We've got like tons of pre-order incentives and campaigns and just we're trying to just make it the most fun release to kind of welcome everybody back into this universe. So I'm very excited about it. It's
Oh,
gonna be
I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to hear how the tour goes, all of that stuff. So, listeners, Good Girl Effect drops September 2nd. Be sure to grab your copy. But before we go, if you want to tell listeners how they can stay in touch with you and where to find you on social so that we know when the rest of the books in the series drop.
absolutely. I am most active on Instagram. It's just my favorite place. So I am at Sara Cate Books on Instagram. My website is saracatebooks.com. It has a link to my newsletter sign up, and we always share everything through the newsletter. And yeah, I mean, I am on TikTok too if you want to like see my awkward face while I make videos. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason or science to any of those. It's just me.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'll definitely tell people to go to your website because I was there the other day and you give a lot of free books
Yeah,
there for people to sign up for. I think I downloaded them all and read them all over the weekend. They were fantastic. So definitely visit saracatebooks.com so you guys can get those because after you read The Good Girl Effect, of course, while we wait for the next one to drop. So
Awesome.
Yay. Well,
Cool.
thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see what comes next. Thanks for all that you do. Continue sharing amazing stories and characters in kink. I love it so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.